So behind me here, we've got this absolute monster of a Defender 130. It's lifted, it's on 37-inch tyres, it's got the Spectre look about it with the roll bar, the big winch, the bull bar. Pretty cool. Now it's come in because the clutch is slipping really bad. I'm not surprised telling them big tyres. So let's get involved and get the clutch out. So it's up on the ramp, it's in neutral and the handbrake's off. We're just going to chop the wheels, then we're going to remove the props. Right, so first job, crack off all these nuts. Some of them we'll be able to access, others we won't because of where the prop shaft yoke sits. So we'll jack up a back wheel, spin it, and we'll be able to undo the other two. So we've cracked them all off with the ratchet and the spanner. Now it's going to get a little impact gun and just whip them all off. There we go. Doesn't really matter about the condition of these because we're going to replace them anyway with new ones. There we go. Look at the size of that. Massive. Set that to one side for now. There we go. There's all the bolts. Just taking the exhaust out. Now, it is a standard pipe, but someone has chopped it out and awfully MIG welded this straight pipe into it. It looks horrendous. Hopefully, we can persuade the customer to have a nice custom stainless one. The front prop out the way. Cool. Now I'm going to get this centre cross member taken out of the way. Right, as usual, they need a bit of a tap. Yeah, that's out of the way. The cross member out of the way, we can now go up top, drop the exhaust downpipe off. So if you lift the bonnet all the way up, unfortunately, it fouls this bar at the front. So we're going to have to take that off and we can lift the bonnet off and get it out of the way. So the bar's taken off and we took the time just to lay a mat down inside the back here, just to protect all these kind of parts. And whilst we're there, might as well put the props, the exhaust part and everything else that's going to be in our way in the back just to store it. So we've got some room down there. It's actually got a fiberglass bonnet on it, which is something a bit different. Get this rope tucked up in the back out the way before someone decides that they've had enough. So we've got the bonnet bungee strapped up out the way. We've just put some rags next to the window wiper spindle just to stop it from getting damaged, but that's going to hold, which means it's safe for us to work down here. Next step is taking the downpipe off, so hopefully these nuts come loose fairly easily. There we go. Right, so we've dropped the part, so hopefully now we can get this pipe out the way. I hate standard exhaust. No, just keep video and fucking about. Ready? Go on. I hate standard exhaust systems. There we go. That's off. Get it out of the way. Right, come down here and have a look at this. So when undoing the anti-roll bar links, I noticed this clamp, which it must be a positive cable going to the winch. So it's very close to the exhaust, which isn't ideal. And look at that. Someone's put a retaining clamp in. They've just used a ridiculously long tech screw, just rammed it through the anti-roll bar links. You can't actually get to the top of this bolt. Awful. I'm all for modifying vehicles, but there's a right way to do something, and that certainly isn't it. So we might look at rerouting these cables just to make them a bit safer so they don't melt. All right, next job, get the handbrake drum off and out of the way. Surprisingly, that come off quite easily considering the state of it. Normally they end up seized. There we go. I'll just pop that back in the hole for now so it's safe, don't get lost. Then we'll undo these four here, and that'll allow us to remove the handbrake, and we'll cable tie it up just somewhere out of the way. There we go. Right, that's out of the way. Now let's start unplugging speed sensor. There we go. Earth point up there, high and low, and then the diff lock light. Then we can undo the mounting brackets and the ring of bolts, and we'll have this transfer box off. So as I was saying about modifying vehicles, this has got fancy leather seats and a nice leather cubby box. I'm guessing these are the mounting screws, and look at them, they're ridiculously long. They've gone straight through, and they're only just missing this wiring loom here. Now this vehicle has actually got a fault with it where the OBD plug doesn't read. That runs just down here. In fact, that's the loom just to the side. So there's a chance that it's got damaged when this has been fitted. Anyway, that's a job for later on. Just something else that we've found along the way. So there's the breather pipe removed for the transfer box. Pop that to one side. I've just unplugged the high and low and the diff lock light. Now I've got to undo the linkage. Cool, so we've undone all the electrics, we've done the high and low linkage, we've done the diff lock linkage, we've loosened the mounting bolts. I'm just getting the two nuts off the back here. Then we're going to go around to the other side, undo them ones, and we should be able to lift it off. So that's everything loose. We've just wiggled it and put a bar underneath. There you go, look, it's split away from the gearbox. So now I'm going to get this set up, we're going to give it a wiggle, lift it off safely. Let's lower it down. Nice and steady. Lovely. Right, and let's get it off the blocks. Move these out of the way. There you go. Transfer box removed. So as I pointed out earlier, look, there's them tech screws, which are very close to this wiring loom. Now I'm a bit concerned that that looks like it's had something go through it. I can't see any visible damage as yet, but we do know that we've got a wiring fault to deal with. Again, that there looks like it's been pinched or something, so might be an indication as to where the fault is. But anyway, we've got to get this out of the way, then we'll have a look into all the wiring. Time to start undoing the mounts, the bell housing brackets, remove the clutch slave cylinder, top bell housing bolts, and we can move the gearbox out. Again, another example of some very fine wiring. Just cable tied up, stretched, under tension, running kind of near to where the exhaust is. Just wants tidying up. Bit of a mess. Nothing we can't sort. Just makes the job longer. So we're just here removing the slave cylinder now. So slave cylinder's out of the way. I've undone the bell housing bolts so I can access down the bottom here. Now it's time to get up top, remove the airbox, do the top bell housing bolts, then get it supported, get the gearbox out of the way. So now we're at the top, we can remove the MAF sensor, we can remove the air temp sensor, get this piping out of the way, get the airbox removed, get the bracket removed and gain access to the top bell housing bolts. Right, that's the airbox out of the way. So now with that removed, we can gain access to the top bell housing bolts and the crank sensor wiring, get that unplugged, then we're ready to drop the box. There we go. So these aren't Defender seats. I mean, they're pretty cool. They fit really nice, but to get them out, you've got to undo all of these Allen key bolts and they're a bit fiddly. Luckily, if you slide it all the way back, remove the tray, stubby 13mm spanner, you can just get to the earth terminal to disconnect the battery. So that's what I've done. Right, starter motor is off. Bell housing bolts are all undone. The only thing holding it in now really is the fact that it's sat on the shaft and the main gearbox mount is still attached. So we're going to get it some blocks underneath it, support it, and then we're going to be able to drop it out. Have it on here, ready to swap the clutch over. So here we have the gearbox and the bell housing. That's all dropped out, sat on the bench, ready to swap the release bearing and a few other bits tomorrow. And then we've still got the old clutch and flywheel on the vehicle. Again, we'll swap that all over. So there's the old clutch plate. We've also found some more wiring that was just jammed up. It looks like it's been crushed in the past. And don't know, got to tidy all of this up when it goes back together. One thing we have noticed is it seemed to be dripping a lot of coolant when we were removing the bell housing. So I don't know if there's a pipe leaking at the top there. Coolant bottle is a bit low, so that's something else to look into. And then yeah, tidy up all of this, move this bracket, swap over the clutch plate, do the release bearing and that in the gearbox, build it all back up. So here we are now. We're just going to take off the clutch pressure plate and then get the clutch disc out, inspect the flywheel and have a look. We've got a whole new kit for this anyway, so all of this has got to come off. Let's get these undone. I've already taken a few of them out. There we go. Now the amount that this was slipping was ridiculous, and you can see the wear on that. Look, it's almost down to the rivets in places. And that flywheel looks horrible, covered in rust. So there we go. LOF clutches. This is the Extreme kit, which is what this vehicle needs. Turning them big 37s. There's a few instructions. Heavy duty release bearing there, which is certainly needed. And the rest of the kit in here. So we've got the flywheel bolts all loosened off. Just going to wind them out a little bit. Right. Wiggle that, off it comes. There we go. So this is still using a dual mass flywheel setup, but that's pretty knackered. I mean, look at the state of it. It's in a right mess. So we're just inspecting the rear main seal and all around the back here. Now there is evidence of oil leaking, but we found earlier that it was coming from the top here. I think it's coming out the back of the head on that little plug. So we're going to clean all this off before we put it back together. So up here is a spigot bush. And looking at that, there is actually bits missing and damaged on the outside. It looks like it's actually cracked. So there's an old trick which we're going to try where you fill this with grease and then using a special tool, which is the right shape, it's just a bit of metal. You knock that in and the idea is it uses like hydraulic pressure and you push that in and it'll pop the bush out. Sometimes it works fantastic, other times it just makes a hell of a mess. So we're going to give it a go, pack this out with grease. So we have it primed with grease. Goggles on because I don't want that in my eye. Right, that is sat in place. Now with a good whack, let's see if it pops out. Again. There we go, that's popped out. There we go. So that took a bit of fettling. Can you see there though? As the grease pushes on the end of this, so only way out is this way. So it pops out the bush. In the end, we just hit it a lot of times and got a bigger hammer. So as you can see there, like, as I said before, all the end is actually damaged and chewed up. We haven't done any of that because we've just poked inside it. So I'm guessing someone has had a go at it in the past, tried chiseling it away and stuff, not succeeded. So that's certainly worn out. Time to put the new one in.
Yep.
Little trick for knocking the new one in, we're going to actually use the old one, but we're going to cut a slit in it so that when we tap it in, we can just pull it out really easily. So now that's the right size and it will compress to pull out. So there we go, that's now seated as far as it will go in. Just one more check. You can hear the tones changed. Nice and smooth, and that feels like it's incorrect all the way. Yeah. So there we go, flywheel is now on. A little bit of Loctite. Nick round them all again. Yeah. Right, so what we've done is we've used the flywheel locking tool, kindly supplied by Luke at LOF Clutches. Set the torque wrench up to 40, which you can't quite see on the screen. And then we've gone round them diagonally, torqued them up. So we've done that, 40 Newton meters torque diagonally. Now we're going to do a 90-degree turn. Now then, with this snap-on torque wrench, you can actually set it to do degrees. So if we set it still, 90 degrees. So if we go from there, you should see the climb go up. And with this, you can actually go back and it'll carry on counting. There you go. So that's that one done. And we'll start it again. Again, 2. I'm just going to work our way around all of these now. So as you can see here, clutch plate is actually labelled gearbox side, so we know it needs to go that way around. Here's another special tool supplied by LOF. We're going to offer that up onto there, poke the tool through, and that will get us exactly in line as to where we need to be. Like that, look. So there you can't move it up or down. So that's where that needs to sit. Then we can offer the clutch plate up again. We're going to fit new bolts. Right, so we've sat the clutch plate in place. We've then put the pressure plate on top. New bolts, just going to put a little bit of thread lock on them. We're going to go around and pop them in. So we just set the torque wrench to 34 Newton meters. There we go. I'm going to do them in opposites. I'm just going to go around them all once more, just double check. Okay, right, that can come out now. So next step, we're going to take off the old release bearing, which is just a standard plastic one. Replace it with this nice heavy duty one. Feels so much nicer. So let's get this fork taken off. There we go. So we've now lifted the gearbox back into place. We've got the rear mount bolted up. We've done all the bell housing bolts. We've got the starter motor to do next. So we've got the transfer box lifted up into place. The mount is on the side. We've got the bolts going around the outside all in place. The earth strap is on. Speed sensors in. High and low linkage is in. The light is in for the diff lock. Yeah, soon be ready to put the props on. So now just putting the exhaust pipe on. We've done the props, torqued the bolts up correctly. I think we're about done underneath. There's 2 more bolts on this exhaust and a good check over. And then it's just the air box and a couple of bits on the top to sort out, which is good to go. So we've just connected the air pipe up here on the bottom of the box. There's the 2 breathers. Another air pipe to go on here to the turbo. Yeah, that's on nice and tight. That's clipped in. Now we can plug our sensors back in. That's in. MAF sensor in. Cool. Then just the breather pipe to slide back on. Then it's connect the battery. Double check everything. Start it up, see how we get on. So we're just underneath now, double checking everything before we go on a test run. Make sure that the prop bolts are done, double check those. Cross members in place. The exhaust is all tight and in position. The rear prop, the handbrake drum's not binding. Yeah, ready to drop it down and just see if we've actually got gears and everything's all right. And it's off to the MOT station for this. So we're just test driving it around the yard, nice and steady, just listening for anything, getting a feel for the clutch. Happy so far. Just going to go and select low box. We'll go through the gears. Yeah, all nice. Now let's try diff lock, see if we get a light. Yeah, diff lock engaged, that's good. And you can actually feel it is engaged because it feels tight on the steering, a bit scrubby. Diff lock out. Yeah, back to high. Yeah, happy with that. Go. So we're just out now, road testing the vehicle. Happy with everything, drives lovely. Put a new steering drop arm on with a ball joint, so that's really fixing steering. It actually feels like it's on the road now. It's had a new clutch, so it can actually drive. New rear A-arm bushes. Yeah, we've quite a bit, really happy. Next step, get it back to the customer.